Hey Agnes, how are you doing?
How
Another
are you? Good to see you.
to see you too. Today we're going to do some hot takes. We're going to look at some things in the news this last week. Over this last 2 weeks, I've been saying, there's so much going on, and we're kind of sort of ignoring it. So I don't want to do that. I want to show people that we actually live in the real world, that we do see these things going on around us, and maybe we'll talk a little bit about it. So maybe a little hot take here or there. In the meantime, let's get started. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Love, Death, and Taxes. I'm Ryan O'Neill Williams, and my lovely co-host is.
I'm Agnes Amisano. How are
That's
you?
right. There's a little bit of a lag here, so sometimes that
Yeah.
happens, but for the most part, you're doing it all right. So, what's been going on this week? Yeah, I mean, the number one thing I saw, yeah, a lot, everything. There's so much going on. If you're watching this later on, today's October 20th, 2023, and there is a full-scale war going on in Israel, between Israel and the Palestinian or Hamas and whatever. It's really not a war. It's really like at this point, it's just where they're tossing bombs back and forth at one another, and civilians are getting hurt. The other thing that's in the news, oh my gosh, Suzanne Summers passed away this week.
So sad.
Yeah, very sad. It's such an interesting thing. Like, uh, you grow up and some people are your heroes, and you don't sometimes even realize how much they I remember the thigh master or the butt master. Which was it? She had a butt master or a thigh master thing that she used to.
Yeah, I'm sure it's
Right?
that as well.
But I think I
Yeah.
specifically.
And I'm sure you grow up, and I'm
I
sure
don't
you
think
grow
she could
up
have got.
with her poster on your room, like a lot of
You
young
know
men.
what? I'm Jamaican, so I was not allowed posters on my wall. My mother would have beat me so bad. Uh, with in Spanish they call it chucleta. In Jamaica, is slippers or sandals. She would have beat me. No way would I just be able to have some half naked woman on my phone. But she was a big deal. I like
Yes.
comedy, so I used to watch that Three's Company.
Yeah, me
So
too.
I was a big fan of Ritter, John Ritter, and even his son, because his son is like in interesting things that I watch now. But yeah, she passed away, and I was sad about it. Sad to hear about it. In Breast Cancer Month, she passed away from breast cancer.
Yeah.
They say, and that is how my mother passed away too. And so she's just about the same age. I think she's 74, 75. Did they say how old she was?
She was 1 day shy of 77th birthday. Yeah.
Yeah, so she was over 77. Yeah, so almost around the same age. My mother passed away at 73. So that is another thing that's out there. Oh, I didn't know that she had requested equal pay, and that's why she got kicked off of that show, Three's Company. Did you
Yes,
know that?
that was a big deal at the time. Yes,
Yeah.
and they were considering removing her from the show at
Mm,
the time, and I think she was removed at certain
yeah,
point.
she was removed.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
she must have made it through maybe a season and a half. So it was
Mhm.
always confusing to me as a kid. Like I'm watching it and I'd see one Chrissy and then I'd see another person. And I was like, what? And that girl was literally her real life cousin.
Oh,
And it
wow.
turned out, yeah, it's like, what? It's her cousin. Just take her cousin and put her in the show. And that's what they did. They just
Wow.
took her out because she asked for the same
Yeah.
amount of money as John Ritter, which today that wouldn't have been a problem. They're like, oh well, of course we need to pay you the same. But back then it was not. I literally, like, the guy was making, say he was making 100,000 an episode, she was making something like 25, 30,000 an episode.
Yeah.
Whoa,
And
whoa,
let's
that
face it, her character brought so much energy and so much laughter that without her,
yeah,
this show would not be as popular as it was.
it was not the same. It was a completely different thing. I remember after that, it looks like it took her a long while to get back in showbiz, but then she started doing other things like health and fitness, and then like motivational talks and that sort of thing. So it is what it
She was
is. I mean,
inspiration. She was inspiration a lot of women, yeah.
very inspirational. That was one of my interestingly enough, I guess because maybe they're relative contemporaries. That was one of the people that my mother looked up. She looked up to her and Helen Reddy, who's a Canadian who sings like I'm gonna be strong. I'm so horrible, but yeah, I can't remember. But I remember her name was Helen Reddy, and she would play her music like all the time. So that's that. Then the other thing I saw was this Will Smith Jada Pinkett thing comes back again because she's promoting a book, right? All right, so this is right down your alley, relationship coach. So, uh, first, what do you see? Because you can go ahead and tell me what you see. Maybe I should even explain what's happening. But we saw that slap happen. Was that this year or last year?
No,
Whatever it
no, no.
was.
Wasn't that like 3 years ago?
It was three.
I think so. It
It's
was
stuck in
some
my
time
mind.
ago. It wasn't this year. And I don't think it was last year.
Yeah, okay. Okay, it was a few years.
I might be wrong. Might be wrong, but definitely not this year. But I believe it was like 3 years ago. Yeah.
Slap.
But
But yeah, bottom
yeah,
line is,
I am not surprised with the
go ahead.
situation. Really. Are you?
Um, n- I gotta say, I've been following this. It's saying March 27, 2022. So it happened last year. Last
It did.
year during the Oscars, Chris
Look
Rock
at that.
gets smacked in the face. Yeah, gets smacked in the face because Will Smith
Mhm.
says, yeah, he said, he made a joke about, his
Yeah.
wife looking like G.I. Jane. And by the way, now I see her have hair. Does alopecia go and come? I don't know. I see she's got hair in the new things that I'm
If
looking
you
at.
treat it, if you
But
treat it, yes.
yeah, you get smacked if you. Oh, is that a thing? Okay, okay. I didn't know. So that smack was just a symptom of something that most of us have been seeing from before. I was, you know, the whole separation between me and my significant other, ex whatever, um happened around the same time, and he was putting up these very inspirational videos about people seeing love in different ways and all this. So I was looking at that at the same time, and what I'm realizing is she was telling him, that's what she's saying now, that in 2016, about the same time, she's telling him, I don't, we're not together anymore, I guess, or something like that. But yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm just, I get more and more disappointed about this every time I see it. Anyway, tell me what you see, because I think this is someone who can't. She's making the whole thing about her, and a guy can't. How do you even navigate that without looking like you're insensitive?
Well, number one, this is Hollywood couple, so it's amazing that they are together. They were together for so long. Number one. Number two, the fact that two people married for a long time and they grow apart, that's again, it happens on daily basis. It's only up to those two people if they want to come back together, if they want to work on it and see that maybe there is a way to
Hmm.
get back together. To what's broken, you can fix it, right? If you want to, if both people want to, if they desire to do so. Obviously, she was done. To him, it was, well, the way I see it, he just gave her space to do, like he moved out, and then they were married but living two separate lives. Again, that happens very, very often. Maybe they stay together for appearances, maybe, well, difficult to say for the children because their children are grown right now, having their own careers, they're having their own lives. So, but they just stay together because they got married in church. Remember, it was very important to her to get married in church. She was pressuring him to get married in church because for her, that was, we getting married for life. And then after, like many, many, many other women are realizing that this is just not for me. That type of marriage is not working for me. So am I surprised? No, I'm surprised that it lasted so long. I mean, they spent a lot of time apart, and there's a lot of temptations, especially for people with in their positions in life. There's a lot of people throwing themselves at them because they are starstruck or what for whatever other reason, you know. So it's difficult to maintain a healthy
Yeah.
marriage, especially for actors, for performers, for singers. It's very difficult to do that. So for them to stay that long together, it's amazing, you know. And what he's saying right now, he's not fighting her on her feelings, on her opinions. He just says that he's gonna be there for her, for the rest of his life. That's a beautiful thing that he's not coming with, oh, how could you? That's not true.
Regardless.
He's letting her go. He's letting her having all her feelings. He's letting her having her own opinion. And she is looking like everyone else who is hurting, they telling you story from their point of view. Usually when someone is hurting, they're not looking at their spouses that, maybe what I did or what I said hurt my partner. You're not going to hear that. They're going to say, oh, because you make me feel this way, therefore it's your fault. Now, if you want to fix this,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
the person have to sit down and admit that, let me see, maybe I should evaluate myself, my actions, my feelings, and think right now if my partner, if I hurt my partner by doing this or saying this, or for any whatever that person did, how that affected the partners. It's very difficult when you're hurting, think of other person because then you're having that pity party and it's like, oh, it's me. I'm hurting. It's this. And you have a right to feel this way. But if you are on your path to fix this relationship, you have to think how the other
Yeah.
person felt, how your feelings make them feel, how your actions make them feel. But
That,
then
exactly.
again, there's a very important thing. You want to fix this, both of the partners have to sit down and evaluate their actions. They cannot be just one sided. And there are couples that at certain point they say, you know what, it's not for
Yeah.
me. I'm going to work on it. Enough, it's enough. And if only one person decides that, the other one has no chances on reconciliation. So it's when people's emotions, dealing with people's emotions, with people's feelings, it's
So you don't
go ahead.
all right, hold on, hold a sec. Okay, here we
Hmm.
go. You don't think that this is about the institution itself. You think there is definitely an issue here because these two people basically couldn't work it out. Because part of what her, she's have this whole conversation, all right, and this
Hmm.
conversation that she has is because she has this talk show called Red
Yes.
Table Talk, and people were me, oh, you got to see this, you got to see this. So that is what I watched, and he was on it. He went on it because he helped her to jumpstart the show. And they talk
He's
about all
one of
these
the
different
producers.
topics, but
Yeah.
it was
But
usually
wasn't that
about how
canceled?
people have processed trauma. So the red
Mhm.
tape, yeah, yeah, huh?
Wasn't that canceled, that show?
So yeah,
Yeah.
basically the idea was she was trying. Well, canceled from Facebook because Facebook was running the show and it was exclusive to them. But then what I believe they did instead was put it on like a regular podcast. Hey, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, you can now watch Love, Death, and Taxes on sorry about that. You can now watch Love, Death, and Taxes on wherever you get your podcasts at this point as well. We're doing Apple. We're doing several places, and that'll work out for you if you want to actually watch it. So yeah, I was the show still exists in one format or not, but now what she's doing is a book. So she's on a book
Hmm.
tour, and the thing she's doing on the book tour is saying uh, this is not working out for me. This is not working out for us. Can we handle this in a different way? Like our relationship, like we're trying to come back together. And he's showing up and saying he's trying to come back together. But literally, as a guy, there's a certain amount of humiliation you can take, right? And I
I think
feel as
anyone.
though now, now he's out of hand too because he's getting up and yeah, but she slept with his, she had an entanglement with his person, his son's friend, and that's just ridiculous to me. Like how do you you do that and then come back to the table? She told him that there, and he's just sitting there, and there's a whole meme of him like just looking at her like, and his eyes are red. You can tell he's upset, and it's just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. I don't think she should expect anything else than no. But here he is again, and I get it. You're married, so you want to keep up with that person. But it's absolutely amazing that that's going on. I'm surprised.
Well, when
What do
there
you
are
think?
other people, when there are other people start entering your life, especially when there is a physical connection with other people. For myself, I would never be able to be with someone that was physical with someone else. Like, let's say my husband, even if we separated, he's with somebody else, I would never be able to reconnect with him because in my mind, that would stay with me that he was with someone else. That part of my life is very uh, very, very personal, and I would never be able to do that. So, but there are couples that they are able to get back together after something like this happened, but to be humiliated on any social medias, being having that set right there, I slept with someone else. That's that will be one of the things, let's say, for me, that it will be like, okay, that's the line that was crossed, and this is it for me. You cannot do this to me.
This is the thing. Yeah.
Yeah,
What do I do? Like at that point, I mean, I know there are couples who get over it, right? They do work
there are
together,
some
they
couples.
get over it.
Yes, there are some
But
couples.
yeah, yeah, and I'm sure that some of them can, but it's not an easy thing to do. it'll be pretty difficult. And it seems like it's not one thing, it's not two things. It seems to be a lot of different things. And so I'm kind of
Yeah.
surprised about that at all.
I used to had a friend who was saying, and she was a young girl, and she was saying that, well, if my husband will have an affair just for fun, and if that will be only about sex, I'll be okay with that. If he would love her, that would be another thing. Um, I'm looking at her like, really? So if this is just for fun, it's okay with you. That was her opinion, which she's entitled to. For me, that would have been a huge no-no, a huge no-no. Someone else I met, and the guy was saying, well, just because he pays someone for sex, so for him there was just a transaction, no emotional attachment, so that was okay. But he was married, but that was okay to him because he saw that he's paying for, even if he's leaving money as a gift for someone. Is, are you kidding me? And you're going back to your wife and expect your marriage to go on like nothing ever happened. Certain things for everyone, like in every marriage, there are certain lines that you do not cross. But of course, it's up to the two people that they're going to draw those lines. But for majority of people,
Yeah, that to me just
entanglement with someone else, it
infidelity.
doesn't work.
Yeah, it's a deal breaker. Right,
Yes,
exactly.
absolutely.
All right, so
Especially being
we
being
just wanted
said
to give our
that,
hot take on
yeah, that telling
it.
people
Okay.
in front of millions of others, hey, I have this thing, I had this link with somebody. So like that's the right time you choose to tell me. So for him to say even now, I'm gonna be there for you for the rest of my life whenever you need me, because you're my best friend. It's that's amazing thing to say to someone who cheated on you. So that's my opinion. So there's a lot of different relationships and a lot of different people, but that would not work
Yeah,
for me.
and they would handle everything. They'd handle everything different. They'd handle each situation differently. I'm flabbergasted. I took a lot of inspiration from a person who um, he's not a thug. You know what I mean? Well, he
Mhm.
wasn't until I saw him go and smack Chris Rock in the face. But he wasn't that kind of guy. It was more the kind of person that I was. One of the good guys in Hollywood. Like you look at Tom Hanks, you look at him, you look at even Tom Cruise. Well, you heard some things about Tom Cruise, but it's not. I mean, it just seems like a person who is trying, and that's how I felt like. And then all of a sudden, I was like, wow, I see him doing stuff like that. And then I look and find out what's going on, what is really happening. He's sitting down with these people. His wife, she's telling everybody all this stuff about she can't stop. I just need her to stop. Just stop saying anything because
Yeah, yeah.
that's just a problem. Every time we turn around, it's some other issue, and it can't be. It just can't be. So it is what it is. But yeah, I thought we'd talk about that a little bit. Anything else going on?
Was that your phone?
Yeah, it's just firing off. We're
Yeah,
having a really
yeah.
tough. Yeah, just getting this done. But yeah, it is what it is. So I'm going to close up for this particular episode. But do you have anything you want to tell anybody?
Well, I can tell you about half of my day today
Okay.
that I spent on the phone, waiting for New York State to answer one
Okay.
of my clients. And goodness gracious, we're waiting over 6 months already for agent to be assigned to his case, to review the offering compromise. So it's a little frustrating when you're working so long on a case and there is no one to talk to, and it's going to take another year for them to actually make decision after they assign someone. So that was frustrating for me. It was a little, just I get it. The application is approximately 2 inch thick, so it's very difficult for you know they have to
Is it that?
review everything. Yeah, it's a lot of documents. It's a lot of documents
Okay.
to review.
Well,
But
I'm hearing that New York, not just New York State, the IRS is saying that uh, we owe somewhere in the region of 186 billion in taxes because people aren't paying their taxes. Do you know anything about that? You heard any info about it?
look, with everything going up, when the interest is going up on credit cards, when people borrow money on against their mortgages, or they have line of credits and they're trying to refinance and the mortgage rates are going up, it's difficult to put money together. So when you have a choice between paying child's school tuition or paying your mortgage or paying your credit card trying to catch up or your taxes, what are you going to choose? Right? So it is difficult to for someone to balance. I fully understand that. I fully understand that. But it's there's a lot, and first of all, when you don't pay 1 year or 2 years, on the third year you're going to see that practically your full amount in the principal will almost double because of penalties and interest. So that is a killer as well. So I will advise anyone, don't sit on it, just reach out for help and address the subject. And if the first and also the first 2 years, you're just gonna get notices with reminder. You didn't pay. This is your amount due. And a lot of people will say, oh, they just keep sending letters. On the third year, they're gonna go after your accounts, bank accounts. On the third year, they're gonna start sending liens against your property. So there is no longer that easy to ignore it. And sometimes some of my clients, they thought that they're being forgotten by New York State or IRS because they didn't get reminder letters too often. So, oh, they forgot about me. Yay. That did not happen. And principal and penalties are still growing. So it's it's a problem. It's a problem.
Okay.
But
All right. So
definitely
yeah,
there's
eventually I'm hoping we'll get all through that. But yeah, I keep seeing news and tax news specifically about tax. We haven't paid our taxes, and so they're coming for us to come and pay the taxes. But yeah, well,
oh,
I
and
guess we'll work through it. Ladies and gentlemen, go ahead.
there's another thing that I wanted to tell you, that even if it's gonna come to the, let's say, the last resort, trying to fight any of the institutions in court, you're gonna have to pay first what you own, and then they're going to resolve if they, to see if they're gonna refund you anything. So it's not like you can go like with any other vendor. I'm going to, I'm not going to pay you until we do the resolution of the bill. You're going to have to pay them first, and then they will decide if they have a refund for you. That's how it works.
Uh, okay. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. It's just, oh man, when I see that, and my understanding was they had just hired all these new IRS agents to come and do all this stuff, and hopefully they were going to collect more and more and more. But you told me you were on the phone for a really long
That
time, but
was
that
with
was
the,
with state, right?
that was with the state, but still with IRS, when I'm calling, sometimes it takes me 5 days, and I'm calling professional hotline.
Yeah,
Tax professionals. I have a different number
much
than
less
anyone
skilled.
else. And it
Yeah.
still takes me up to 5 days sometimes to get through. Okay. So
Wow. So,
it's
ladies
it's
and gentlemen, just so you understand, if you want the hookup to the professionals over at the IRS or the New York State Tax, you want to call Agnes for
yeah.
that. That's who you want to call. But okay, very well. All right. So, interesting week. interesting week. I want to give a couple of hot takes on a few bits of information that we have out here. But ladies and gentlemen, this is Love, Death, and Taxes. I'm Brandon Neal Williams. It's Agnes Amisano from Tax Resolutions and Bookkeeping.com. They are our sponsor here. I want to say thank you so very much for coming on today. Of course, being on here with me, Agnes. And then, ladies and gents, if you are looking for this show, you can check it out on YouTube, you can get it on Facebook, you can get it on LinkedIn. But more importantly, we are now on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Alexa. It's everywhere at this point because you keep asking for more, right? You keep asking for more. Thank you so much. But yeah, Agnes, what, you want to leave anybody with a tip or just say hello or goodbye?
Well, I just want to invite everyone to stay with us on our podcast, and please keep looking us up. On We are on Facebook, on Spotify, on Amazon, on Apple, Google. So we are more accessible, and I hope you enjoy it. And we will welcome any ideas of topics. You can just email them to us, and see you next week.
Right. That's right. All right. So I see you next week. Have a great evening. All right.
You too. Enjoy your
Bye
weekend.
bye.